Gilad Pellaeon is pretty well known mostly for his time as a captain in the Republic and Imperial navies in the expanded universe. Most people tend to finish his story with the end of the Thrawn campaign, however he still had a very storied future. He served with Warlord Truton Teradok after Karnor Jax essentially overthrew Palpatine and the Dark Empire. He was then second in command to Natasi Dala, who united the Imperial Warlord forces by killing the most powerful of them at Tos Beacon. Pellaeon then came to rule the Imperial Remnant and signed a peace accord with the New Republic, where the Remnant remained alive and would support the New Republic against the Yuzang Vong in a war against the invaders. Pellaeon helped unite the Remnant with the New Republic to form the Galactic Alliance, and he had reached the rank of Grand Admiral within the Remnant, and he became Supreme Commander of the Galactic Alliance's military during the Swarm War and Dark Nest Crisis of 36 ABY. Anyway, by the time of the Corellian secessionist rumors in 40 ABY, Pellaeon's office gained intelligence suggesting that the Corellian government or its factions inside had been constructing an assault fleet in secret for the past decade, and it was near completion. Pellaeon put the intelligence assets on the fleet's track, attempting to find their secret base. Still more disturbing was that the Corellians were also near reactivating the Centerpoint Station superweapon, and Pellaeon was convinced that allowing them to do so would lead to a rebellion and chaos into the galaxy. He therefore approved of a plan to have Jedi sabotage the weapon. Jacen Solo and his young apprentice Ben Skywalker took on the assignment. Meanwhile, elements of the Second Fleet would enter the system in a show of force, while the Jedi strike teams attempted to seize Prime Minister Idel Saxon and Corellian Chief of State Thrakan Sel Solo, and force negotiations. However, the kidnap missions would fail due to what was clearly known on the part of the Corellians, while the Second Fleet was drawn into battle, secretly under the influence of the Sith Lady Lumaya, and retreated from the engagement and occupied Tralis, aggravating the situation badly. The mission to disable Centerpoint Station, however, was successful. Saxon remained engaged in the political situation, and she offered to meet with representatives of the Galactic Alliance on neutral ground to work out a compromise. Pellaeon was assigned to be the lead Galactic Alliance negotiator at the summit, and security preparations were intense, with the Galactic Alliance, Corellia, and Jedi all coordinating procedures. Pellaeon began speaking with various dignitaries informally, and when that concluded, he and the top negotiators were moved to a secure conference room. Pellaeon was simple and direct, desiring an informal conciliatory tone. He and Saxon then discussed the situation for 4 hours before deciding to take a break for the night. On the advice of General Tycho Selchu, Pellaeon's head of security, he had a body double sleep in his suite while he occupied the neighboring one. The precaution would prove wise as a team of assassins struck during the night, killing Saxon and Pellaeon's body double. Pellaeon then regretted that a man had to die for him, but quickly turned to the matter of sorting out who the attackers were and what their motivations were. He placed the Jedi in charge of the investigation, but insisted that Selchu and Antilles also be involved. Pellaeon himself then served as the center of operations, compiling the data the investigators would find while playing sabacc against Han Solo, who provided security for him. The investigation continued to regularly scheduled calls from Coruscant, and they came through requesting Pellaeon's report. Pellaeon went to receive it, knowing that the investigation would now be put in the hands of the Galactic Alliance agents. Pellaeon sent Admiral Tarla Limpan to take over, but the Corellians were able to drive the Galactic Alliance off of Tralis, weakening their position and strengthening Corellian morale. In response to the escalating situation and increasing unrest among the Corellian expatriates on Coruscant, Omas authorized the creation of the Galactic Alliance Guard, which was essentially a secret police force, and placed under the command of Jacen Solo, who was then given the rank of colonel after Mara Jade Skywalker turned down the positions. Omas knew that Pellaeon opposed the creation of the secret police unit, which Solo would use to round up Corellians on the planet. Pellaeon had felt that the powers were too broad and open to abuse, and did not want the militarily inexperienced Solo to head it. With its creation, Pellaeon resigned in the morning of the next day. Niathal then succeeded him as Supreme Commander of the Galactic Alliance's military, and now in his 90s, Pellaeon returned to his estate on Bastion and took on an active hand in the ongoing efforts to restore the planet to the original strength it had before the Yuzang Vong War. He remained a popular and influential figure, and the Council of Moffs would frequently refuse to make decisions without his input. Though he disliked the Galactic Alliance's direction, Pellaeon frequently spoke in support of maintaining ties with the Galactic government, and against parties within the Remnant which supported an alliance with the Confederation for Corellian independence. Pellaeon eventually reclaimed his position as head of state for the Imperial Remnant with Victor Riege. At the same time, the Galactic Alliance and Corellian Confederation entered into the Second Galactic Civil War in 40 ABY during Operation Roundabout. Pellaeon continued moving to keep the Remnant out of the war, regarding the Confederation as a rabble and coming to despise Jacen Solo, who had now become co-chief of state along with Niathal, who was a petty dictator and came about in a coup. While short on ships and needing new allies, Jacen Solo, who had fallen to the dark side at this point, sent his new Sith apprentice Tahiri Vela to the Imperial Remnant to negotiate an alliance with Grand Admiral Pellaeon. However, knowing that Pellaeon would never accept, Jacen offered the planets Bilbrengi and Boralius to the Moff Council, headed by Grand Moff Queel, who was Pellaeon's chief rival. Pellaeon received a note from Solo requesting the Imperial Remnant's aid in exchange for these concessions. Pellaeon then crumpled the note up and had it returned to the messenger. Before that week's regular conference for the Moff Council, the retired Moff Zareti informed Pellaeon that the Moffs had been approached with an offer for the two planets for the Empire's cooperation in subduing the Confederation on Fondor. While Pellaeon and his allies among the Moffs, specifically the more military-minded Moffs, several on the council led by Moff Queel opposed him and longed to expand the Remnant. While they were not positioned to unseat him, they were sure to push for involvement in the war. When Queel began to bring up the issue, Pellaeon revealed that he knew of the offer and advised against becoming entangled in the Second Galactic Civil War. But after the meeting, Pellaeon received news from his vast array of informal contacts that Jacen had used the Force to choke a lieutenant to death on the bridge of his ship, leaving him yet even more concerned about Solo's declining mental state. Despite this, Pellaeon granted an audience to Solo's envoy, who had fought under his command in the Battle of Esfandia during the Yuzang Vong War. Grand Admiral Pellaeon had lost faith in the Galactic Alliance's ability to bring peace, but eventually decided that the Remnant would be best served by allying with Solo and coming out on the winning side of the conflict to better influence the galaxy after the war. He put the proposal to the Moffs, who then eagerly agreed. Pellaeon, however, still didn't trust Solo and signaled Dala. Dala then arrived at the Remnant while Pellaeon was inspecting his new flagship, the Bloodfin. Pellaeon had a fondness for smaller ships, but was very impressed by the modern design. He spoke with Niathal by the comms, each expressing their concern that Solo had not thought enough about the attack of Fondor. After that, he welcomed Dala, as she had a small irregular fleet which Pellaeon had positioned near Fondor to act as a support group in case something went wrong during the Battle of Fondor. He then presented her publicly as a reactivated advisor, making no allusion to her fleet, which he wanted as a secret backup. Pellaeon then departed for Fondor with several of the Moffs present aboard the Bloodfin, who hoped to acquire Fondor itself from the battle. He kept a comm line secretly open to Dala at all times, as he, Niathal, and Solo held a conference aboard the ship. Realizing that they lacked the forces to occupy Fondor, Pellaeon and Niathal suggested that they offer Fondor favorable economic terms to rejoin the Galactic Alliance. They were therefore offered a period to surrender, which the Fondorians did not accept, and then the Galactic Alliance occupied the orbital shipyards, softening up the planet. Solo then left Vela aboard the ship supposedly as Pellaeon's liaison, though Pellaeon realized that she was to be Solo's spy and agent. Pellaeon held the Remnant forces back, screaming against the possibility of reappearance of Fondor's fleet, which they believed to be outside of the system waiting to strike. Jacen Solo meanwhile led a portion of the 4th Fleet against the orbital yards. However, it soon became clear that the fleet had been hidden within the shipyards, and it departed, trapping Solo's forces between itself and the planet's defenses. While half of the Fondorian fleet engaged Niathal's portion of the 3rd Fleet, requiring Pellaeon's intervention to keep them from being overwhelmed. Solo was then able to use the Force to convince the Fondorians to open their shields, allowing him to bombard their shield generators. Niathal again offered the Fondorians the chance to surrender, which they accepted. Solo, however, insisted on pressuring the battle and making an example of the planet. Niathal then relieved him of command and insisted that he stand down. Pellaeon insisted that the Imperial ships respect the ceasefire and take advantage of the lull in the fighting to salvage ships and provide medical aid, forcing Queel to back down his contention that the Remnant should take advantage of the confusion to conquer the planet. When Solo resumed fire, however, Pellaeon supported Niathal in her decision to attack him and protect the Fondorians, ordering his ships to attack any vessel firing on a Fondorian ship. As the battle turned against Solo, Pellaeon retired to his day cabin to speak with Dala, but was followed by Vela. She begged him to aid Solo, but when he refused, she drew a blaster on him. Yet still he protested that he would not support Jason's tactics. Pellaeon realized that she would shoot him dead if he didn't give in, and he refused to bow to pressure. Instead, he realized that he had the opportunity to choose how he would die. He ordered his fleet to engage against Jason solo over the comlink and forced Vela to shoot him. As Pellaeon lay dying, he saw Queel and the Moffs allowing him to die and planning to take power. He spoke Queel's name into the comlink, which he kept open to Dala to hear before ordering her to attack as he died. The apparent coup would not go over well for the Moffs. Although they convinced the Imperial fleet to side with Jason, the crew of the Bloodfin rebelled and trapped the Moffs. Dala attacked Solo's fleet, and the Mandalorian she had hired under Boba Fett killed Queel and the other Moffs before forcing Solo and Vela to flee their ships. They retrieved Pellaeon's body and took it to Corellia for a funeral. With the help of the Jedi Coalition, the Maui regular fleet, which was led by Dala, as well as a team of Mandalorian mercenaries led by Boba Fett, and of course Jaina Solo, Niathal's forces were then able to drive Solo off. Additionally, the Imperial Remnant would then join the Jedi Coalition against the Galactic Alliance during the Second Galactic Civil War. And that is the story of Gilad Pellaeon during the Second Galactic Civil War. What other aspects of the conflict would you like for me to cover in the future? Write in the comments, and thank you for watching.